Are you looking at this girl? Yes, this girl. This girl died such a painful death that you will not believe. This was such a disturbing case that even the investigators were worried. November 20, 2024, 12:31 p.m. CCTV footage from Royal Hotel, a modest 3-star hotel on 12th Cross Road in Indiranagar, Bengaluru, shows a young couple entering the premises. The image quality isn't crystal clear, but one thing stands out unmistakably. She's smiling. Her face radiates joy. The boy beside her seems calm and focused. Inside the reception area, the boy gestures for the girl to sit on a couch while he approaches the counter. She complies, scrolling through her phone casually. The boy completes the online payment and formalities, and within minutes, they both walk toward their booked room. They carry minimal luggage, just 2 small handbags. The room is reserved for just one night. At first, everything seems normal. But what unfolds over the next few days becomes one of the most chilling true crime stories to shake Bengaluru in 2024. The hotel stay turned strange. On November 21, by 11 a.m., there was no sign of checkout. Hotel reception called their room. The boy answered, claiming they'd like to extend their stay for another day. The staff didn't think much of it. The next morning, November 22, the same request. Another one-day extension. Again, nothing too odd. Guests sometimes prolong their stay for birthdays, surprise plans, or just to unwind. But here's where things began to unsettle the staff. In those 2 days, no room service was called, no online food delivery, no staff saw them step out. Complete isolation. Silent walls and unanswered questions. And then came the morning of November 23, checkout day. At exactly 8:19 a.m., CCTV footage shows the boy walking out of the hotel alone. No bags, no expression, he's on his phone. The staff barely noticed. It wasn't until 12:15 p.m. that the receptionist, expecting them to check out, called the room. No answer. He then dialed the boy's number, listed in the guest register. It switched off. Growing uneasy, a staff member went to the room. Knocked. Called out. No response. He decided to use the master key to open the door. But shockingly, the door wasn't even locked. He pushed it open, and what he saw next would haunt him forever. A terrible stench hit his nose as he entered, and on the bed, the lifeless, blood-soaked body of the young girl, the same girl, who had smiled just days ago. She was gone. The crime scene. Without delay, the hotel informed police. Within minutes, the crime scene was secured. Investigators, forensic teams, and local media rushed to the site. The once quiet hotel turned into a hub of horror. Blood had soaked into the mattress. The floor was splattered with smears. A blanket, now a witness to murder, lay half-folded beside the corpse. A mobile phone rested on the bed. On the ground nearby, a yellow nylon rope. The body had already begun to decompose. Clear signs that the murder had happened at least 48 hours ago. Trays in the room were full. The air was heavy with old cigarette smoke. Something about the scene screamed planned murder, not an accident, not a spur-of-the-moment crime. The killer had stayed there with the body, maybe reflecting, maybe panicking. The girl was identified from hotel records, Maya Gogoi, accompanied by a man named Aarav Hanoy. Maya was dead. Aarav had vanished. Who was Maya Gogoi? Maya wasn't just another victim. She was a 19-year-old young woman full of life, dreams, and positivity. Originally from Kailash Nagar, Guwahati, Maya had moved to Hechasaleo, Bengaluru, where she lived with her elder sister in a rented apartment. She had recently graduated from a college in Guwahati and had taken a job as a student counselor at an education consultancy firm in Koramangala. But that wasn't all. Maya also ran a YouTube channel where she reviewed makeup, skincare, and cosmetic products. Her videos were full of charm, laughter, and realness. She was known for her cheerful nature and was the favorite of her family. Just 2 months ago, she had visited her hometown to attend a wedding. No one had imagined that it would be her last visit. Her murder wasn't just a crime, it was a betrayal of everything innocent. The hunt for the killer. Police immediately began investigating. The first priority was Maya's post-mortem, but simultaneously, they began the hunt for Aarav Hanoy. Her mobile phone, which had been found in the room, was dead. Records showed her last calls and messages were on November 24, suggesting she had been killed soon after. Based on the state of decomposition, the murder likely happened 2 days before her body was discovered. But who was Aarav Hanoy? Preliminary inquiries revealed he was from Kotada village near Kannur in Kerala. He had only recently moved to Bengaluru in 2024. Like Maya, he too worked as a student counselor, earning 15,000 rupees, 0 paise per month as an intern at a private firm. They had met through their jobs, and possibly through social media. Phone records were pulled, his number was put under surveillance, and from hotel CCTV footage, police confirmed Aarav had walked out on the morning of November 23, never to return. What led Aarav to murder Maya? Was it rage, rejection, obsession, or cold-hearted planning? We don't know everything yet, but what we do know is heartbreaking. A young girl walked into a hotel with someone she trusted. She smiled. She believed she was safe. And just hours later, that trust was shattered with a nylon rope and a heartless hand. Once Maya's lifeless body was discovered, the clock started ticking. Police knew the prime suspect, Aarav Hanoy, had vanished, and they had to find him before he disappeared for good. The breakthrough came from his call detail records, CDR. It revealed that just after checking out of the hotel, Aarav had booked a cab through a ride-hailing app, headed toward Majestic railway station in Bengaluru. Moments later, his phone went dark. However, that wasn't the end of his digital trail. The police traced the cab driver, who confirmed Aarav was dropped off at Majestic. Then, curiously, his phone started turning on and off intermittently. Investigators speculated that he was powering it up only to make online payments or access travel info, brief windows that gave police valuable location pings. Each ping was a breadcrumb. The trail showed that Aarav had left Karnataka and was moving north. His next known location, Raichur. Given the urgency, DCP HD Devaraj formed 3 dedicated police teams. One was dispatched to Kerala to visit Aarav's grandfather, an army veteran. The second rushed to Raichur, where Aarav's last signal was captured, and the third remained focused on collecting technical surveillance data. While this cat-and-mouse game unfolded, the post-mortem report on Maya arrived, and it was horrifying. Her injuries told a story soaked in rage. She had suffered deep trauma to her head and shoulder, but what chilled even the most hardened officers were the wounds on her chest, over 10 brutal stabs with a kitchen knife. One of those, deep and precisely angled, had pierced through, becoming the fatal blow. Forensic reports placed her time of death on 24th November, the same day she and Aarav had checked into the service apartment. There was no longer any doubt Maya had been murdered that very day. But catching Aarav wasn't going to be simple. He was using public transport, never staying long in one place, carefully dodging any traceable digital footprint. From Karnataka to Madhya Pradesh and onward through Uttar Pradesh, he was constantly on the move. Yet, despite this clever evasion, he was only delaying the inevitable. Of his final known stop was Varanasi. And from there, Aarav made a call that surprised everyone. He rang his grandfather in Kerala and confessed, "I've killed a girl." This wasn't the first time Bengaluru police had anticipated Aarav's emotional bond with his grandfather. In fact, they had already reached out to the elderly man, hoping he could reason with the boy. His grandfather didn't shout or scold. Instead, he spoke with the calm authority of a man who'd lived through wars, gently urging Aarav to stop running and surrender. You can't keep fleeing forever. This isn't the answer. Aarav, only 21, was no seasoned criminal. He had traveled over 2,500 kilometers in 3 days, was low on money, mentally exhausted, and perhaps, for the first time since the murder, confronted with guilt. Listening to his grandfather's advice, he did what no one expected. He returned to Karnataka. On the morning of 29th November, around 4:00 a.m., Bengaluru police arrested Aarav near Devanahalli. An unsettling calm, Arav's arrest and interrogation. What struck the arresting officers immediately wasn't aggression, it was stillness. Aarav was eerily quiet, withdrawn, and unlike the panicked fugitive they expected, he had turned himself in without force, suggesting a strange inner conflict. It was as if he knew he deserved punishment. Police shifted their interrogation strategy. Instead of direct confrontation, they adopted a layered approach. First, they brought Aarav back to the crime scene. Then, step by step, they walked him through the timeline. From booking the service apartment to Maya's death, and everything that happened in that locked room between 24th and 26th November. This case isn't just about a murder. It's about emotional health, about early intervention, and the dangers of unaddressed trauma. What had started as an ordinary modern-day romance on a dating app had ended in tragedy, because somewhere along the way, a young man's desperation to be loved turned into a desperate act of destruction. Legal developments and psychiatric evaluation. Aarav was booked under IPC sections 302 murder and 201 destruction of evidence. Given his mental state, the police declared that further interrogation would proceed only after a full psychiatric evaluation. For now, he remains in judicial custody, awaiting trial. But the scars of this case, on Maya's family, on society, and perhaps even on Aarav's soul, will not heal easily. Reflection: insecurity is not an excuse for violence. No matter how broken someone's past is, violence is never justified. Aarav's life may have been full of emotional voids, but that doesn't give anyone the right to take someone else's life. Maya trusted him. She saw a future with him, but she paid the price for that trust with her life. It's terrifying to think that someone you love could be the very person who ends your story. This case is a grim reminder we must never ignore red flags. No one should ever stay in a relationship where they're being emotionally manipulated, controlled, or feared. Love should never come with conditions, ultimatums, or threats. And for those struggling with mental trauma, get help. Speak to someone. Therapy is not weakness. Silence is. At the end of the day, the most precious thing you have is your own life. Don't let anyone, not even someone you love, make you feel unsafe, unheard, or unloved. That's all for today's case. Thank you so much for your love and support. Stay safe, stay aware, and take care of your mental health. We'll meet again with another case. Until then, goodbye.